What's cracking, California? Welcome to KETC News. I'm your host, Eric Molina, and today we'll be covering a wide array of topics. We'll be covering childhood obesity, anti-Trump protests, a new fashion line and its impact on the fashion world, USF Dons basketball, and the California propositions. With pediatrician Caroline Leff. She'll teach us all there is to know about why childhood obesity has become such an epidemic and what our community can do to prevent these such alarming rates.
Hello, my name is Dr. Leff, and on today's segment of Stay Healthy, we're going to be discussing how childhood obesity is a fast-spreading epidemic in the United States. Throughout the United States, a large issue that needs to be brought to the attention of our citizens is the fast-growing rates of childhood obesity. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in 2012, childhood obesity has more than doubled in children and quadrupled in adolescents in the past 30 years. I'll be covering three main points, which include how the low price and abundance of food leads to obesity, how the food being served in schools leads to obesity, and the health effects and diseases that come along with obesity. Now that we've previewed our issues, let's get to the details. Fast food has started to shape our society as a whole. Fast food has become the staple in most Americans' diet due to its convenience, affordability, and of course, tastiness. According to a 2016 study performed by Dr. Ananya Mandel, children with a sustained excess energy imbalance intake of approximately 2% result in the development of obesity over time. A 2% imbalance could mean an excess of only 30 kilocalories per day. This corresponds to 2/3 of a chocolate cookie, fewer than 2 French fries, and only 1/4 of a can of soda. Being a parent can, of course, be extremely tough. When you have multiple kids with different schedules, you'll find yourself in the drive-thru line at least 2 times a week because of rushing to school, events, and sports, and all of that. Additionally, per an article by News Medical and Life Sciences, fast food consumption costs were nearly $164.8 billion in 2010. That's a 3% rise since 2009. Most restaurants target their foods toward children. That's always seemed to be an intriguing aspect to their meal. For example, McDonald's will always include a toy like this one in their Happy Meals. This is a great marketing tool that will get families and children to be consumers of their products. Another thing that McDonald's will do is have playgrounds in their restaurants. Now that we have covered how fast food has not only shaped our economy, but our bodies as well, literally, let's move on to discussing the meals served in public school systems to children. Since most public elementary schools have loads of kids, it can be hard for the schools to cater healthy, expensive foods to all their pupils. So they resort to the quicker and cheaper option, which a lot of the times goes along with unhealthy. In a Livestrong article about childhood obesity, another author states, breakfast options include high carbohydrate bagels and English muffins with cream cheese, butter, and jelly condiments. The average size bagel is around 275 calories. Additionally, there's 2 tablespoons of cream cheese on top of that, which is 70 calories and over 7 grams of fat. Not only do the children suffer from copious amounts of unhealthy ingredients, they also have a la carte options for toppings, which include fatty processed foods such as brownies, Oreos, cookies, cream cheese, candy bars, and etc. Let's move on to our final topic of discussion for today's segment. There are many health risks and problems that come as an effect of obesity. The health rates and problems of obesity. Being overweight or obese isn't just a cosmetic problem, it's more of a health problem. So, according to the Let's Move organization started by the First Lady Michelle Obama, obese children and teens have been found to have risk factors for cardiovascular disease, including high cholesterol rates, high blood pressure, and abnormal glucose tolerance. In addition to all these health issues, the biggest fast-spreading disease caused by obesity is type 2 diabetes. In a National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute article about obesity in 2013, Gary H. Gibbons says diabetes is a disease in which the body's blood glucose or blood sugar level is too high. Normally, the body breaks down the food into glucose and then carries it to cells throughout the body. The cells use a hormone called insulin to turn the glucose into energy. In type 2 diabetes, the body's cells don't use glucose properly. At first, the body reacts by making more insulin. Over time, however, the body can't make enough insulin to control its blood sugar level. This is obviously a problem. With all these things being said, it's pretty unanimous to conclude that obesity is a huge issue across the United States. It's your job to help to do the best you can to prevent childhood obesity. Thank you for tuning in.
Now we talk to Tori, who introduces us to a new fashion line and its impact on the fashion world. Tori, take it away.
Hi, I'm Tori, and today I'm going to be talking about the negative effects that the fashion industry has on the environment and how this new clothing line can actually help these problems. So when we think of climate change, we mainly think of agriculture and transportation as being the key components to climate change. But what many Americans don't know is that the fashion industry actually contributes to these environmental issues. According to Sandra and Elena Stecca in their research, fast fashion, which is fashion that is cheap and quickly discarded, are actually huge contributors to these environmental issues. Also, according to True Cost documentary from 2015, the garment industry is the world's second largest polluter, while dyeing, printing, and bleaching are one of the most energy and chemical invasive stages, along with producing cotton, which is dependent on high volumes of pesticides and fertilizer. So today we're going to be talking about a clothing line which is, responding to these issues that the fashion industry has with the environment and how they can make a change. So Reformation is a new clothing store that strictly uses sustainable fabrics and vintage garments while incorporating better practices to make beautiful styles at a fraction of the environmental impact of conventional fashion. Reformation was created in 2009 by Yael Aflala, who is an entrepreneur and former model, when she was at dinner one night and found herself being interrogated by a guest about fashion's impact on the environment. So after that conversation, she decided to read up on the ethical manufacturing and various strategies to scale the company. And in 2012, she relaunched Reformation as an e-commerce business centered on a 2-story building in downtown Los Angeles. So now there are 2 stores in New York and 1 in Los Angeles. So according to the Sustainable Brands by Riley Schreier in 2015, she found that Reformation's pieces are from super sustainable materials, such as reduced dead stock fabrics and also repurposed vintage clothing. Eco-fabrics are used as well, such as Tencel, viscose, and recycled, which use way less resources than the conventional cotton and also are less polluting than oil-based fabrics. After interviewing the entrepreneur, she also did her own research. Megan Blaylock found that Reformation purchased old, leftover, and over-ordered fabrics from other designers and fabric warehouses, which allow them to reuse and divert the materials from the landfill and into your closet. So Reformation's mission is to make effortless silhouettes that celebrate the feminine figure, all while using sustainable fabrics. Celebrities such as Taylor Swift, Rihanna, Hailey Baldwin, and more have all been found rocking the new sustainable fabrics of Reformation. So, according to Reformation, with climate change being a huge issue in our world today, as a society, we should look for things to help reduce environmental issues. With fashion being a huge component to pollution, Reformation is a great start to influencing the fashion industry to take these extra steps to help the environment as a whole.
And now, with breaking news, Kiana is going to take us on a journey throughout the United States to cover some of the recent anti-Trump protests and the feelings of many Americans who attended.
Thanks, Eric. Across the United States, there have been an ongoing series of anti-Trump protests in at least 25 states. This is hot topic and breaking news since people are wondering about the reactions of Americans. So, since the election results, we've seen multiple anti-Trump protests. We're going to go through what the message was and how it was portrayed, the choice of location and why, and whether the protests were violent or peaceful. First, what's the message of these protests? So, we've heard many chants throughout all these protests, and here are the ones that were heard the most. First, Love Trumps Hate just sends a message of positivity. Then we have We Reject the President-elect, which is just showing the unhappiness with the new president-elect. Say It Loud, Say It Clear, Immigrants Are Welcome Here, tie into the immigration issues that Trump has spoken on. And finally, Black and Muslim Lives Matter. These were the most repeated chants according to Slate.com as of November 12, 2016. So, next, violent and peaceful protest. Where were they at? First, San Francisco. On November 9th at 5 p.m., there was a huge anti-Trump protest in San Francisco. Started on Powell and Market Street, close to City Hall. Here's a Snapchatter at the protest, catching the chant, "Not my president." Wow, that's a huge and large crowd. So, San Francisco was obviously an example of a peaceful protest. On the other hand, in Los Angeles was a different story. More than half the reported arrests the week of the election occurred in Los Angeles, where protesters have marched down the streets, halted traffic, launched fireworks, and blocked freeways. In some cases, they even threw bottles at police officers. This is all according to the Washington Post. Another example of a violent protest was in Portland, Oregon, where 25 people were arrested. Protesters gathered in Portland late Thursday into what police called a riot after demonstrators said an outside group showed up and began smashing car windows. So, where are these specific stops at? The choice of location. First, we have people who stopped at Trump Tower to protest, specifically in Chicago, Illinois. Here's what it looked like. Then, in San Francisco, the same protest I was talking about earlier, on November 9th at 5 p.m. on Powell Street, ended up at City Hall. So looking back, we've seen and heard a loud and clear message that these people, the protesters in the U.S., have said. First, they're unhappy with the president-elect and they're voicing their concerns. We've also seen that although most protests have been peaceful, like in San Francisco, some have turned violent, including Portland, Oregon. Finally, in efforts to get their message heard, protesters visited Trump Tower and City Hall. As we can see, a large number of people in the United States have protested due to the current election and who are just trying to send a message. Hopefully they stay safe out there. You guys stay safe out there. Thanks for keeping up with the update at KETC News. Till next time.
As we look towards local sports, we check out the University of San Francisco Dons basketball team. They dominate through preseason play and look to compete in a very competitive West Coast Conference. New coach Kyle Smith and the team look to dominate this year, and here is what we can come to expect from the team. The University of San Francisco Dons basketball team looks to dominate this 2016-2017 season. But before we can jump to any conclusions, we must look at three key factors: the players, their new coach, and this upcoming schedule. So first, we look at the players on this Dons squad. For the second consecutive season, the Dons are a team in transition, as USF returns 6 players from a team that was 15-15 and 5th in the West Coast Conference with an 8-10 record. USF expects veterans like senior guard Ronnie Boyce to come up big this season. He ranks as the team's returning scorer, averaging 11.1 points per game in his first season at the Hilltop after transferring from Connor State in Putnam, Oklahoma. The first-year player Jordan Rattino, who was named Northern California's Player of the Year after leading De La Salle High School to the CIF Open Division State Championship game, and Charles Midland, who spent last season at Fork Union Military Academy, figured to occupy key roles at the backcourt rotation. Next, we move on to the coach. According to ESPN, on March 30th, 2016, a day after leading Columbia University to their first postseason title, Kyle Smith was hired as the basketball coach at the University of San Francisco. He replaces coach Rex Walters, who had coached at San Francisco for the past 8 seasons. He was let go earlier this year by the school, unfortunately. According to Columbia University Athletics, in 2016, the 46-year-old Smith led Columbia to the CollegeInsider.com tournament title that capped off one of the best seasons in the school history, as the Lions went 25-10. The Lions became only the second Ivy League team to win a postseason tournament after Princeton's 1975 NIT championship. The team. Smith, who won 101 games in the 6 years at Columbia, is familiar with the West Coast Conference, having spent time as the assistant of the St. Mary's from 2001 to 2010, and coaching at San Diego before that. The USF Athletic Director, Scott Sidwell, says, Cal Smith brings a wealth of experience from programs that have competed at a very high level. His knowledge of the profile and the type of players combined with the proven systems that can compete for WCC championships make him the perfect fit for USF. The Dons' non-conference schedule features home games, including Illinois, Chicago, Troy State, Alcorn State, Lamar, Portland State, and Abilene Christian. USF game against San Francisco State on December 6th will be played at historic Kezar Pavilion in Golden Gate Park, which served as the Dons' primary home. We have some challenges in the non-conference season, but we should have a pretty good idea of where we are after the Diamond Head Classic, said Coach Smith. We'll have a chance to reset if needed, in time for conference play, where the competition is stiff night in and night out. So, how do we expect the Dons to do this season? Although teams like Gonzaga and St. Mary's seem to be dominant threats in conference play, the Dons plan on doing fairly well and aim to land among the top of the bracket. With a new team dynamic and coaching style, we look forward to more success and hopefully a better outcome than last season. So, just to recap. First, we looked into the team and some of its key players, the new coach Cal Smith and what he brings to the table, and lastly, the Dons' schedule. The team looks ready and prepared for this tough road ahead. With their chemistry and veteran-to-rookie ratio, they're sure to turn some heads this season. Make sure to come out and support them this year at War Memorial Gym at the USF campus. Welcome. I'm your host, Eric Molina, and today I'm joined by
Tori Gonzalez.
Caroline Left.
Kiana Martinez.
And in today's segment of Group Talk, we come to discuss some of the recent results of the California propositions on the recent November 8th ballot.
So, Tori, I see that you covered Proposition 55, which is a tax extension to fund education and healthcare. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I think it's a good idea to pass that so that it helps healthcare and schools and all of that education. But I also see that it could be unfair for the wealthy to get taxed more. But overall, I think it's a good.
Right, that's definitely agreeable.
But I think as long as people are safe and healthy, it will be worth it in the long run, right? So, Caroline, what are your opinions on Prop B?
I'm really strongly opinionated, and I feel that it's really necessary that we implement the tax on sugary beverages because I think overall, not only our children, but adults are drinking too much soda, and we just need to reduce the consumption of soda in the United States.
I agree completely. It's a rising problem here, especially in California, and this will help it stop.
Eric, did you know that a 20-ounce bottle of Coca-Cola contains 65 grams of sugar?
Really?
Wow.
It does.
Kiana, what do you feel about Prop 57?
So the California Prop 57, it's a strong issue since we already have impacted prisons, so it would help with that. But on the other hand, I can see how people feel a little bit on the side of no for it because they are convicted felons. But if they have good, non-violent crimes, then I don't see the problem in trying to get them parole. So Eric, what do you think about Prop 63?
Well, I think by passing it, it will create a safer California by keeping people with illnesses and juvenile records out of possession with firearms. But also I see the no side, which puts restrictions on people who recreationally use their firearms, and it could be a big burden on them as well.
So this permit thing, how do they implement the permits? It's people is there background checks as well, or is there just going to be permits?
Background checks are going to be the basis for every point at which you get something for the firearms, like purchase, sale, redistribution. And so by having this system, it'll create a safer network for the recirculation of all the firearms in California.
Hey!
Did you know that a 20-ounce bottle of Coca-Cola? Did you know that a 20-ounce bottle of Coca-Cola contains 65 grams of sugar? I love saying that fast. Can we get that?
Yeah. What's up?
I'm over it. I'm over it. Alright. What did you know that 20-ounce can...
Just look forward.
What the fuck? Tori, you're over here. You're over here. Like, no, I wasn't. Just, I was...
Hey, wait. Is it going?
I have a stutter problem. Fuck you. I always stutter, and like she always catches me in our room too. Like she thinks it's the funniest thing ever. Okay. I think that wraps up our discussion period for the day. I'm really hungry.
Thanks for watching. So nice. Okay.